What do coaches who make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year actually offer in their businesses? How do they get customers? How did this thing evolve? How did it develop over time? How profitable is it really? Well, I could answer some of these questions. But I thought that it would actually be kind of fun to share with you an interview done by one of my mentorship students on another podcast. So, what you're about to hear is Melissa interviewed on my friend John Franklin's podcast. He hosts the Gym World podcast. Now, I didn't even know this was happening, but John messaged me afterwards and he was like, "Hey man, just spoke to Melissa. Sounds like she's doing pretty good." And so I listened to the podcast, and obviously I knew how well she was doing. So Melissa's doing about $500,000 a year, like $450,000 of that is profit. What I like about this episode, though, specifically, is that John asks her a lot of really good questions that gets into the nitty-gritty of how she offers her service, what support she offers, how she gets customers, how it's evolved over time, how it started, where she wants to take it. And I don't know, you don't hear these conversations very often. And so I wanted to share this conversation from another podcast with you that I'm not involved in any way, shape, or form. And I think that you'll really enjoy it. I think that you'll really benefit. Maybe it'll give you a little bit of clarity. It'll certainly give you some inspiration. So please enjoy this conversation between Melissa and the Gym World podcast.
Hello, and welcome to Gym World Worldwide. I'm your host, John Franklin, here with your other host, Mateo Lopez, coming at you live from Jupiter, Florida. And we have a special guest today from the North Pole, Melissa Shevchenko of Fit Girls Rock. How you doing, Melissa?
I'm doing great, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for doxing us, John. Now all the haters are going to know exactly where to find us.
Yeah. Now we're out.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to increase your home values, you know? Everyone's going to start buying up that fine Jupiter real estate now that they know Mateo for Business lives here.
Right. Yeah. Only the best fitness software moguls live in Jupiter, Florida.
It's golf. It's the best golfers. It's the best fishermen. And it is the best fitness software product people in the entire world live in Jupiter, Florida. That's what it's known for. But it's not about us. It's about Melissa today. And we found out about Melissa through our friend, John Goodman, who teaches people how to be successful online trainers. And it sounds like Melissa is his unicorn. Give us a little background on you, Melissa, and how you started your business and eventually transitioned to being an online super trainer.
Absolutely. I started the business in 2014. I was working a corporate job prior to that, and honestly, I hated it. And I was really into health and fitness. So I did a personal training cert, and I started shadowing some other trainers at a local gym. Eventually started working there part-time. And in 2015, I opened up my own gym in the basement of my home. And I trained only in person up until 2016. And then I started dabbling a little bit in the online world. I did John Goodman's OTA 1 course first. That started dabbling in online. And then 2020, obviously, as we all know, COVID hit. And when COVID hit, we were forced to shut down. I had literally no income. I started training some of my clients that were in person in Zoom and stuff like that. But it was a nerve-wracking, time. And then this opportunity came along where John was offering the OTM, the online trainer mentorship. And I jumped in, and it has literally changed my life. And by the end of 2020, or by midway through 2020, I guess I was already basically entirely online, which if we look at it, kind of had to be because of COVID, but I had grown exponentially as well. And I never went back to in-person training after that.
At like the peak, what were you doing in-person training from a revenue standpoint?
From a revenue standpoint, at the peak, I would say my biggest month prior to with just in-person was probably about 8 to 10K.
And then what's been your biggest month online?
My biggest month online with just online coaching has been 70.
Bam. Wow.
Now the 70K isn't consistent, but there's the 70K is the higher end month, and then there's some lower end months there as well. But the lower end months never go back to where I was with just in person.
Right. And so annualize, what does that kind of work out to?
Annually right now, my business profits about 400 to 500K a year.
Bang! That's insane. That every gym owner is going to be, oh, John Goodman, give me a referral link, man. Every gym owner is selling their gym right now and signing up for John Goodman stuff.
And I can honestly say that, and I said this to you prior to starting, I know for a fact I wouldn't be where I am without John and his team with that. And I know this is not an advertisement or anything for John and his company, but
this episode is brought to you by John Goodman. If you want mentorship just like Melissa, you sign up for his thing. All right, back to the program.
Results guaranteed. Yeah. Let's look at it. Hold on. Before we go, I said you were from the North Pole. And I'm not kidding. See this little red dot up here, listeners? That is where Melissa lives. So it's just I can't get over it. You know, the doing doing a $70,000 a month online is great, but living and this little red dot is the most ridiculous and crazy thing I've heard so far. But listeners, I wanted to share the screen for another reason, right? So when you hear like someone doing those type of numbers online, Teo, like what do you think from a social standpoint?
They're going to have hundreds of thousands of followers. They're going to be monetizing a very large audience that they have grown by painstakingly posting 3 times a day, every day for the last 5 years.
Right. And like Jason Brown was on the podcast. I think he's got a pretty decent sized audience, and Cassie's got a decent sized audience. And then when we were doing our DD on Melissa, she's got 1,400 followers. So, Melissa, do you need a big social audience to do you need to spend your life on Instagram to do well online?
No. And I'll also point out that it's only been in the last month that I started doing reels as well at all. Prior to that, wow. I had never done any reels. And I post on Instagram once a day. Wow.
So how do you get clients?
So majority of my clients actually come from Facebook. I post a lot within obviously my personal page, but I also have a business page, and I've had the business page for a long, long time. And I know that doesn't get as much traction anymore as it used to on Facebook, but I kept it because there's a 12K following there. And I do get a lot of interaction on that page. And then from there, I'm able to get clients or people into my free Facebook community, which then leads me to be able to nurture them a little bit better. So I have 2,500 people in a free Facebook community. And then I have my own personal page, obviously. And then I have my business page where I post a lot of content as well.
Well, 12K is not small. So how did you build that up?
You know what? I've had that page. I competed in 2012, and I've had that page since then. So it just grew from my own personal experiences, started sharing those things there. And then it just kind of went into when I started my business, I started posting more content, and then it just kind of grew. And then it's been stagnant at like 12K for quite some time, but I still use it, and I post there, a couple of times a day, usually. And then on my personal page, I usually post at least once a day with different things, some personal stuff, some fun stuff, and then some business-oriented stuff.
So I'm just looking at this. I do think there is some intention with the branding and the language. So who is the avatar that you actually go after? It sounds like it seems as though you probably picked a niche and you kind of narrowed down. Is that what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I only coach women. I do have I shouldn't say that. I do have a couple of male clients, but they come from my women clients who want their husbands to be coached or whatever. So I don't advertise that I coach men, but I coach men, and I coach women, and I mostly coach women who have been, on the yo-yo diet roller coaster, who are obsessed with scale numbers, who want to create a lifestyle, not just see fat come off and then come back on, come off, come back on. So it's mostly lifestyle oriented, sustainable lifestyle. And I also do a huge amount of coaching in like the mindset and relationship with food.
So then what is the actual deliverable? How did it transition from, literally training people in the basement of your home to what are you delivering now?
So when I train in person, as you guys probably know, you're just training somebody to help them understand how to work out, how to lift weights, proper form, and you answer their questions within your sessions based on nutrition, mindset, or whatever. So while I believe I was a good in-person trainer, I don't believe that I was actually helping my client with what they actually wanted as well as I could have been had I been able to hit everything, nutrition, mindset, the workouts, form, all of it in one space. So when I started doing online, I'm like, okay, these are the things that I'm missing in person that I can't seem to hit people because I'm not able to connect with them almost like on a 24-hour basis. So whereas if I can feed them a ton of education through an online platform, then they're getting a ton of knowledge. I'm being able to feed it through a platform that doesn't require a whole lot of my time per se. I'm able to coach them through their issues, through their questions, through their problems. And the results actually speak for themselves, to be honest. The results that I was getting clients in person, obviously, they were getting stronger. They were achieving all of that. And some of them were doing great with fat loss. But the results now are, I will say, way better because I'm hitting so many other things.
So is it an online course mixed with some calls or some Zoom coaching, or what is it exactly?
So what I do is I actually offer, initially, it's a 6-week course. So it's a 6-week course that breaks down, fat loss, what it is, nutrition, relationship with food, mindset in terms of things like all or nothing, self-sabotage. And there's a fitness program delivered via Trainerize, and, all the form videos and everything are included. And then from there, there's phone calls to move those clients into a longer term approach with me. So they have the option of moving into a 6-month or an annual coaching program with me from there. But everybody has to do my 6-week program. That's how I set it up, because it's the education, it's the actual course that's kind of needed to get into what I classify as my exclusive. You graduated from here, you can move into here kind of thing.
And it's it's not an open enrollment, right? Like you close enrollment down. I think you were.
I do.
I thought I saw recently you were selling right now.
I am, yeah. I just probably not on my story yet today.
I might have. There it is. 11 spots left.
Yeah.
There it is. 6-week challenge. Only 11 spots left. Looking for 6 women.
Hurry up.
I do enrollment 6 times a year, every second month. And then I open enrollment. I usually take 40 clients in each 6-week program, 40 to 50, but usually say around the 40 mark. And then I close enrollment, go through the program, and then the next one will open a month prior to the start date of the next one.
So that just allows you to focus on fulfillment, basically. Like you don't have to worry about like selling, and you can.
I overthink a lot of things. And one of the things that I found is that for me, open and close enrollment works way better for my own mentality, for my own mental health. I can open it. I know I need to push hard to get this many clients. Then I can close it and I don't really have to worry about selling until the next time. And I can focus only on the clients that I have. I can focus on doing a really good job within the 6 week, and then just focus on those calls to transition those clients into the longer term approach.
And we've seen this work in person as well. So Cassie Day, who's one of the more popular episodes we've ever done on the show, she follows the exact same model as you, where she'll open it up, do a 6-week thing, and then sell into a longer term thing. But it allows her to just like focus her marketing as well. I'm assuming that's the same with you. Like you have hey, this week's pitch week, we're gonna sell 1 million of these things, and then you can kind of go back to giving a bunch of value.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly.
Awesome. And so what do you charge for your 6-week?
My 6-week program is $800 to $850. And then the longer term approach goes into like a 6-month or a 12-month, and they have the option of paying monthly or paying in full. So they can do like a $300 a month for the annual, or $3,200 for the year. And then they can do a $350 a month for the 6-month, or $2,000 for the 6 months.
$850 for 6 weeks is, I feel like some gym owners struggle just to do that for like an in-person thing, and you're doing it for essentially an online course. So what's the magic? How long does it take you to give away free stuff in that free Facebook group until you can convert someone into that 6 weeks?
You know what? It depends. I find that since my name has gotten out there a little bit more, especially within my own community. So I find that a lot of people are coming to me now as referrals from other people who've done the program, or just in general, people saying, hey, I've heard really good things about this lady. And other trainers, even within the community, we're all very, very well connected. And they'll say, hey, Melissa is an expert in relationship with food, changing your lifestyle. But I do still get clients who might be following me, have been following me for like 5 years. And they're like, okay, I'm ready. I really, really resonate with your message. I would like to learn more. So it really varies. Some people, they haven't been following me very long and they're just ready. And other people have been following me for a long time.
Yeah, because I hear that price point. I hear the type of selling. I compare it to your audience size, and my gut tells me that you're probably pretty obsessive with client delivery. Like, I would guess this doesn't seem replicable for everybody. And the fact that John said we should talk to you means that your service must be really good. Are you like one of those like crazy obsessive, stay up all night and like freak out over your client results type people?
So I definitely do not stay up all night. I'm in bed by 9 p.m. type of lady. However, I am pretty obsessive over my client results. So if my clients reach out to me with, like, as long as it's within my office hours. Now, I used to be the type of coach that would, if my clients messaged me at 9 p.m. and I was still up, I was answering it. I kind of set my boundaries a little bit better in that way. But I am very much, if my clients reach out to me, I want to handle this and handle it right away. Most often I can deal with most of that stuff just within the DMs. Sometimes I have to get them on a call and help them, but it's rare. But my program, in terms of my 6-week program, it started out not nearly where it is now. So it wasn't always a course. And then as I got, I guess, better online or started listening to my clients a little bit more and remembered even where my own transformation came from, I was thinking, okay, I can make this thing a course. And then I'm hitting all of these questions within the educational portion of my course. And I'm getting way less work come at me on a daily basis that way. That's kind of how that developed.
I feel like we've heard this story before, John, of just messaging people constantly and being available and just nonstop customer support and service until you build a $500,000 profitable business. So yeah, cool. That's awesome.
So weird. It's so weird when you charge what you're worth and care about your customers. It's almost like
so
that's
weird.
a secret to business.
You know what? It's funny because a lot of people presume that I don't get me wrong. I did that in the beginning and I still do that. I deliver, my customer service is top notch, or at least I aim for it to be. And I like to be available for my clients as much as possible. But people assume that I must work all the time, all day long, hours and hours a day. And that's not the case. Like, if you, like, as John Goodman always says, if you have the right systems in place and you have all the right things going and you are proactive, like I told you with the course, that's how I developed the course, because it ended up that I was using less of my time after I developed the course. So if you're always looking for those things and you can improve that way, then your time becomes, you have more free time for yourself in your own life too.
Yeah, you just came off, you're probably the only Gym World guest to just come off of like a vacation, right? You were just like hanging out in the mountains, weren't you?
I was, totally. It was awesome.
We don't believe in that here. We believe in burning the candle at both ends, just no room for balance on this podcast. All right. And so how you said you had 14,000 people on your Facebook page, but a lot of that was when you were competing and like back when it was easy to grow a Facebook page. You have about 2,500 in your group. How do you get people into that group?
A lot of times it's just different kind of, like Kevin, my husband is part of my business as well. Just because I'm going to add him in here now, because he does a lot of the DM outreach. And him and I do like a live coffee time inside the free community. And that's grown a lot of traction because people get to know us both personally and we answer questions and we do topics. So that has drawn in a lot of people. Other people just inviting people. And originally I started the group the free Facebook group again during COVID when I saw a post from John Goodman that said, hey, if you create this, draw people in, you're going to become kind of like the expert in this area. So that's what I did. It drew a lot of people in right away. And now the way that we grow it is just based on comments or people reaching out to me asking questions or somebody inquiring about something. And I'll say, hey, I have this free community if you're interested, yada, yada. Local advertising, like just within different groups that I am a part of. That sort of thing is how it's grown. And it still continues to grow, but yeah.
And when people are in there, is there any type of strategy you're using? Are you reaching out to everybody in the group? Are you sending them voice memos? What are you doing to kind of engage the people who are in there?
My husband or I'll say my husband, because he does the majority of the DM outreach since he came on with the company, and he DMs them. We might DM them with like a free meal prep ebook or something, or we might DM them and say, hey, our live coffee time is coming up on Tuesday. If you have any questions or anything, let us know. Just some things to kind of, sometimes I reach out and I say, hey, Merry Christmas, or hey, Happy New Year. Thanks for following along. Just small little things that they seem to mean a big deal to people that you took the time to reach out to them.
Can you just real quick tell people how your husband came to work for you? I know the answer to this story, but I don't think our listeners, and I think it's kind of nice.
As you all know, I already said I started the OTM course with John in 2020. When I originally started the OTM course in 2020 with John, it was just basically, I want to move my entire business online. I didn't know what it was going to look like, anything. I didn't really have any big dreams per se, but I wanted to move my entire business online. I had been following John and came across John because what John does with his life, where he lives away during the Canadian winter, was what was ideally what I wanted to have happen for us at some point in time. So in 2020, after I signed on for John's mentorship, my husband, his name is Kevin, Kevin actually got temporarily laid off from his job, and we got very scared, but we decided together that we were going to stay on because we needed John's support and John's coaching or whatever. So we did. And eventually I spoke out loud. I'm like, well, I would like to, if you don't have a job, we don't have to worry about how many vacation weeks we have a year. We can go and we can do this and live on the beach like John does for the Canadian winter or whatever. So we really started putting a huge focus on that. And basically by I think it was end of 2021, Kevin joined my business, and people are probably going to want to know what he does. So he does the majority of the DM outreach for me now. He also does like any reels that I post. Kevin edits those things, does all of those things. He does a lot of like videos, that kind of stuff and he's the master of spreadsheets, so to say. He keeps track of all that stuff that I basically don't like to do.
And is that it for the team, or are there any other people on the squad?
I have a VA. She's out of Edmonton. So it's just the three of us.
Running super lean.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, you basically retired your husband, right? And then hired him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. If you were to talk to like yourself in 2016, and were you happy as an in-person trainer, or was it kind of like, were you feeling burnt out and a little frustrated with your situation?
I will say that I was happy as an in-person trainer in that I liked doing what I did. And I love seeing women get stronger and all of those things. But I was finding it really hard to be available for a client, say at 5 a.m. and then 6 a.m. and then have a gap maybe from 8 in the morning until maybe 3 in the evening, and then have clients from 3 until say 9 or 10 at night. It's a long day, and your hour with your client, there's nothing, obviously nothing else you can do within that hour. So this way, I have way more time for myself, for my own life. I don't feel as burnt out. I still spend, hours a day in my business or working on my business, but in a different capacity just in a different capacity that allows me to grow. Because you can only take so many clients in person as a single individual. And a 12-hour day on the gym floor or whatever is a long day.
Yeah, and once your peak hours are filled up, there's only weird fringe hours, and then once all your hours are filled up, unless you want to open a gym, which is very hard to do, or hire other trainers under you, which also comes with its own set of complications. Like the only way to increase your income is to, increase your prices or bolt on other services.
Right.
So if you have, if there's a personal trainer who's listening to this and they're kind of at that point, and they know they kind of have to go online, what's the first step? What worked for you? Was it burn all the bridges and just fire all your clients, transition them all today? Or is there kind of like a gradual approach you recommend taking?
I'm a very much a gradual person because, as I said, I overthink a lot of things. So I'm very much a gradual person. I started by I developed I think originally my 6-week program was an 8-week program or maybe even a 12-week program. And I developed something and I just put it out there. At the same time, I was also doing the OTA 1 course. So John's book of Here's How to Start Online. And I was reading that and doing that at the same time, but I decided not to wait, just rip the Band-Aid and started introducing something online. And I'm fairly certain it was a 12-week program. And I actually introduced it to all my clients in person too and offered it to them. I didn't make it like, well, you have to do this because. It was, here's what I'm offering. Do you want to do it? And a lot of them wanted to do it. So then I was able to kind of introduce myself as an online trainer to those clients as well. And for a while after that, I did a hybrid approach where I was training them sometimes in person and training them online as well. And eventually it just kind of, I want to say just transitioned, I think. I think with COVID, again, because everything for me kind of happened and transitioned in COVID, a lot of them couldn't see me in person anymore. Because they couldn't see me in person, they still wanted something. And then it allowed me to provide a ton of great service online. And then some of them didn't decide just they didn't want to come back for in person because they were getting so much from me online. That's kind of how.
So COVID was basically a forcing function for you.
COVID, yeah, exactly.
You'd probably still be training some people on the floor if it wasn't for that.
I honestly think I would be, which is weird, but I do think I would be because I don't know that I would have jumped in so hard, but I was forced to.
I just want to be clear. It's not like this is not Zoom personal training, really, right? No, this is like fitness and nutrition education in a course with some accountability coaching calls. And I just think that's wild. I think that's wild.
To be honest, I do. So this is how I do the kind of personal, I guess, stuff with the clients that I do have. So my 6-week program is a total course. I do a live video every Monday that kind of gives them homework for the week, a little bit of homework for the week is what I call it, and a pep talk into the week. They get a call midway through the program with me, and that call is basically what are the 3 to 5 things you're most proud of so far in the program? What are the 3 to 5 things you want as your goals moving forward in the next 6 to 12 months? And then we discuss the options for further coaching with me. When the client, and then that's kind of all they get for personal connection besides my check-ins every single week. And the check-ins that I do are written because somebody's probably going to want to know that. So I respond in writing for the check-in, and I have a bunch of questions that they answer every week. And when they move into my longer-term approach, I do 2 monthly. So each month I do 2 group Zoom coaching calls where we get on and we all as a community talk about a topic, or I do a live Q&A or whatever. And my clients love that. And I still do a live video every Monday for those clients as well, based on some topic or just a pep talk. And then I offer what I call red light coaching calls. So if you are really in a hard situation and you can't get yourself out of it, and I can't get you out of it by just messaging you or with a voice message, then we get on a call and I help pull you out. So that's that's how I offer those, timed things with calls or whatever.
And let's talk about the actual transition into a long-term thing, because I would imagine most online coaches struggle with retention. Maybe they can sell a premium 6-week challenge or something along those lines, but getting someone to buy a time-based thing versus getting someone to then stick around for 6 months to a year, that's a completely different story. So you obviously have it figured out, because it doesn't seem like you're running challenges every 5 minutes. Talk to us about like how you get people to keep buying once they're in after that initial 6 weeks.
I think I've gotten better at this in the last couple of years, but I think that one of the things that I talk about both in my content that everybody can read and within my 6-week program, one of the things that I'm about and that most people will read, and if you read any of my content, you probably already know this, sustainable lifestyle approach is what I talk about most. I don't just want my clients to come in for 6 weeks, get a ton of results that they're going to lose because they don't have. And don't get me wrong, there are people who don't continue with me who don't have the accountability, who may lose their results. But my goal is to ensure people understand that it's a 6-week program, yes, but that's not the end. You have to keep going, and it's a long-term thing, not a temporary thing. Diet culture versus lifestyle, et cetera, et cetera. So I think I've gotten way better at helping my clients understand that there's more to it than the 6 week, and that they have to be prepared for the long term. And by the time we go through the course and get to the point where we get on the phone, I've already gone through the mindset stuff that could be potentially holding them back. The need and kind of must for accountability. Why you need somebody who can be objective with you and tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. Those kind of things. And I think I've gotten way better at talking about that as I've gone through and gotten to be, I guess, a better coach or just had more practice. And so when they come in, I already get now a lot of questions with, I know this is a 6-week program, but what's after? What comes next? So they're already engaged in that before they even come into my 6-week program, a lot of times. And then I think you wanted to know this too. So how do I have a lot of clients who have been with me for 2 years, 3 years. I have one client who's been with me since 2016. So I think that also comes down to providing a quality service, providing the accountability, but also like I really get to know my clients. I feel like my clients, when they come into my longer term approach and we have that solid community, they get attached to the community as much as they get attached to me. And then I like to get to know my clients where I actually know, her husband's name, or that she has 3 kids, or that she has a dog, or whatever the case might be. And I use those things just because I'm a very personable person, I feel like. So I like those aspects of coaching too. I like to get to know my clients, and I think that helps.
And how much of it is due to like your targeting, just only working with women? Do you think that's an important part from like a community building standpoint?
I think that women feel more comfortable talking about certain things when knowing that there's only women in the community. I do feel that.
Women and your husband.
Women and my husband. Although my husband, when Kevin does the outreach for like a 6-week program or anything like that, I do the rest of the talking to the client. So he attracts the client in and does some of that, initial stuff. But then once it gets to a point where we need to take it a little bit further, then that's me who does that.
He sets them, you close them.
He puts the ball on the tee, she hits it out the park.
There you go. That's how it goes. Yes.
That's what they do. That's what good marriage is all about. You got the setter, you got the closer.
Yeah, there you go.
And so did we talk about, forgive me if we're going backwards here, but did we talk about what the long-term service entails? So if you buy the 6 or 12-month thing, what the deliverable is there?
We didn't, but we can for sure. Once you go into the longer term approach, I actually call it more of a mentorship approach. So you're moving now from 6 week, we're going to get you to your fat loss goals, whatever they are, and we're going to teach you how to maintain it. So that might be a long process, could be 6 months, could be a year, could be longer, but I want you not just to come in and get your fat loss goals and leave. I want you to come in, get your fat loss goals, but also understand how to maintain those results and live your life with freedom of food, with balance, with, no more dieting, basically. And so it entails what's different compared to the 6-week program. I don't actually have a whole lot extra per se. I do the Zoom coaching calls, which I don't offer in the 6-week program. And then it's just coaching and nutritional coaching, mindset coaching, and fitness coaching, all delivered through Trainerize. I'm going to say, I can't think of what else. So there are some other little things in there. Like I have a client who's a yoga instructor who offers yoga classes within there, some small things like that, but nothing that requires anything extra, say, of my time per se.
And you mentioned that a lot of your motivation was lifestyle related. Like you wanted to spend Canadian winters on the beach. And while we don't recommend balance on this show, you should make as much money as possible and sacrifice as much of your life to do that. That's the official stance of the Gym World podcast. That may be commendable for some, this idea of, using money and success to buy time and leisure and fun. But I don't get it, but to each their own, obviously. Are you happy with the size of your business? Is the goal to double, triple it again? Like how many clients can you serve? What's kind of the end game for you, or have you reached it?
Honestly, I don't know yet. I'll say we, this is Kevin and I, we are happy where we are. Could the business grow? Potentially. Are we okay if it doesn't? Potentially, as long as it stays status quo kind of thing. I've considered hiring more coaches. I've considered, numerous things to grow the business, but I haven't decided if that's what I want. So I'm kind of in between. Am I okay here? And I've used this year, I think, to kind of find more of a balance. We traveled a lot this year. We spent the first 2 months of the year in Mexico, and then we've done a lot of little traveling since we've come back, and we've enjoyed it, and we've managed to maintain that same, annual income. So it proved to us that we can do that. Will it grow? Maybe. Will I decide to hire more coaches? Maybe. But right now I don't know, and I'm playing with it and trying to figure out what it is that we want to do next.
Because it seems like a great little lifestyle business. Like it seems like incredible bottom line for such a lean team. I'm floored. I want it. I want in. I'm signing up for your thing. Maybe you can be the next coach.
Yeah, I'll be the next coach.
It's been I think the other thing is that sometimes I'm also still in awe. I mean, it's only been 2 years since Kevin, not even 2 years since Kevin left his own job to work with me. Originally, when we did that, I don't know if I can swear on this, so I'm not going to.
You can swear.
Oh,
you can swear.
Absolutely.
We swear all the time.
I was scared shitless, so I didn't really know if, it was going to work out. So there was all that. And so then that first year after he left, it was kind of, your fear is really high and you're just doing and doing and doing because you're afraid that you're going to go backwards. And then this year, it was, like I said, more of that balance and kind of leaning into where we're at. But I don't know if I'm still at a place where I actually have, sometimes I sit back and I'm still in awe of where I am compared to where I was. And so we've talked a lot about, where do we want to go? Where do we see the business going? And we still haven't just made a firm decision because it has worked out really well. The lifestyle we have right now is basically what we wanted. But sometimes, I said to Kevin actually the other day, because I've put myself in so many situations where I've been very uncomfortable with the growth that I've had, it's almost like I chase that now. So maybe I will want to, make it bigger or grow it more in maybe if we talk this time next year, I've already decided, but I don't know right now.
That's how they get you. That's how they rope you in when you hit your desired outcome really fast.
Yeah.
We empathize with that because our company got accidentally really big really fast, and now we're chasing the next big rock. And that's why Teo's got a nice patch of gray hair right there on the front of his head.
Always.
That's it.
Yeah.
Still chasing the next carrot. It never stops.
No, exactly.
Are you currently running any paid marketing?
No.
So it's all organic, all referral.
I've talked to some people to do like paid marketing, but I've never done it. Yes, right now it's all organic.
Sounds like you don't need to. Sounds like you're good. Sounds like you're on the beach. You're fine.
I think that it is good. It's just sometimes I almost wonder if it might be easier if I did that. But I don't know. I also, right now it's still working as is. So sometimes I think, well, why change a good thing? It's already working. So.
Yeah. Sounds great. You've been a personal trainer. Do you think the skill set takes to be a good personal trainer is similar to the skill set it takes to be a good online coach, or is it different?
No, I think it's similar. I think that caring about your clients, being a people person, wanting the best for your clients, maybe even going above and beyond for your clients is the same in person as it is online. For me, I've always looked at it as, well, obviously for my own lifestyle, I want it to change. That's obvious, I think. But I also looked at it, as I said originally, is I was able to give my clients so much, but I wasn't able to give them everything they needed for the goals that they had, just because of my niche. My niche is women who are looking to lose fat, create an actual sustainable lifestyle. And that comes from more than just workouts and an hour, me showing them how to correct their form and yada, yada. And I can only provide them so much in that hour. So for me, it was, I guess, kind of logical to move into here's what I want to show all these people or give all these people, and they'll get the results this way. But I think that in terms of, in person or online, I think they're very similar, if not the same.
Speaking of the training part, is the programming stuff they can do in their house, or is it like, oh, you're gonna have to go to a gym to do this, or is it a little mix of both?
They don't have to go to the gym, but they can. It's a mix of both. I have clients who go to the gym, who love to go to the gym, and then I have other clients who are, say, stay-at-home moms or whatever, who just don't have the time, and they can do it in their living room if they need to with a little bit of equipment.
And another question that's not related to that, for the 6-week front-end offer, are you doing sales calls, or are you sending people to a link, or is it a mix of both?
There's no link. I don't always do a sales call. It depends. So I was doing sales calls for it all originally. And it's a lot. So I can usually tell in the DM when somebody reaches out, especially if they're a referral, that they're ready. Most of them even already know around about what the price is and everything. So I have a conversation with them. I want to know what your goals are if you actually suit the program. And I explain that. And people are actually,
but that's via text. That's not on the call.
DM, unless I do a sales call if somebody comes to me who has just started following me, knows nothing about me, yada, yada, then I'll do a sales call. So it's a combination of the two.
And what is the flow for that, colder lead when you get them on the phone?
Well, I get to know them, point out their pain points, go through how I can help them overcome their pain points, present the program. I like to try and get to know the client even in a phone call. It's usually an hour-ish, 45 minutes-ish. That's why when you're taking 40 people in a 4-week time span, that's a lot of calls. And so, or 50 people in a 4-week time span, it's a lot of calls. So if I don't have to do a call, I don't. But yeah, it's basically, I like to get to know my clients or who's coming in, what their goal is, why they want that goal, where they're coming from. That teaches me their pain points. Then I talk about how I can help them overcome this. And then from there, it's here's how, and here's my offer, yada, yada, yada.
Beautiful. Love it. Fantastic. Discovery, pain points, identifying the problem, offering the solution, holding up the mirror, offering the solution, and then that A/B offer. Do you want to pay now or do you want to pay right now? Those are 2 options.
Yeah.
Which card would you like to use?
Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned that a lot of your personal growth has come from doing things that made you feel uncomfortable. I think you've mentioned elsewhere, like dealing with a little bit of imposter syndrome as well. I think that's pretty common, but I know like being online, you have to put a lot more of yourself out there rather than if you're just in a gym or doing like a personal training business locally. How'd you overcome some of that, and how'd you deal with it?
You're going to get tired of me bringing up John Goodman and his program, but
I'm going to text him immediately after we're done and ask him for referral codes. That's what I'm going to do. So no, go ahead.
Honestly, I used to resist a lot of things with like video content, especially, and reels, which, as I said, I only did my first reel about 2 months ago or a month ago. And even like live videos and stuff. And when I joined John's online mentorship program, I was also, I don't know, I had a lot of self-limiting beliefs. I had a lot of fears around just all of it. And what I said before about what I do with my own clients, where I tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. That's why I've always tried to find mentors who will do that for me, because I sometimes need to be called out on my own bullshit too, that says, hey, Melissa, you're holding yourself back from this because if you did this, eventually you would get comfortable with it. And then, you're going to draw more people in because they're going to hear your voice, or you're going to get more, you'll feel like an actual person, not just somebody writing behind a screen. And those things I think helped by hiring mentors like that who would call me out or would push me to, increase my prices. Because I had a huge amount of fears around money too when I first started, and increasing my prices and, asking for what I'm worth, those kind of things. And with the push from mentors and coaches or programs that I've done, I've been able to overcome it that way. That doesn't mean that it still doesn't exist, because I still get it sometimes, but I'm able to push myself through it a little bit more now, whereas before it would hold me back and I would resist doing the things that I know need to be done. And I think at some point in time, and I say this to my clients all the time, at some point in time, you kind of get tired of your own BS and you realize you are the thing that's holding you back. So you need to work to overcome that. And if that takes hiring somebody like a mentor or a course to do it, then it's worth it.
Right. And you've been, as far as I know, you've been flying under the radar too. Like John's podcast was the first one you went on, right?
Yeah.
And you said you stayed up all night because you were like so nervous about going on the show.
I am terrible. So the first time I ever did the very first podcast I did with John. So the first one I did with John, and then I think 2 years later I did one with Jason. I don't know if you saw that one too.
Yep.
The first one I did with John, literally I was awake all night, off and on. Oh my God, I'm so nervous, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, it was, but I've as you can see, if you watch that one, you can probably tell I'm nervous. Whereas here, I actually feel quite comfortable now. So, and I wasn't always like that.
You come to Gym World, you feel comfortable. When you're here, you're family.
I take all the uncomfortability and I just house it inside. I just
Deep
suck it out of everyone.
Stomach.
And I am the vessel for all of your discomfort and your anxiety. I will hold it for you. I'll carry that.
It's a little seed of stress that grows and sprouts through his luscious hair,
I mean, it is dead cells, right? It's just
there's
dead.
Just
it's
follicles
just
for everybody.
Yeah,
every stress in the gym world, there's a follicle on Mateo's head for it. Like that is a luscious head of hair. Back to you, Melissa. As fun as it is talking about Mateo, what advice would you give to people getting started? People are going to listen to this and they're going to want to be just like you.
They're going to want to sell their gym. They're going to liquidate all their equipment, and they're going to buy some kind of course building software, and they are going to do what you do. Actually, fun fact, if you have our Gym Lead Machine product, we have a course building software and membership builder for you. You can do exactly what Melissa's doing. Just go to usekilo.com, book a sales call today. We can help you do that too.
Advice, let me see. I would probably give a couple of things. One would be to rip the Band-Aid off and just start. You don't have to have all of the information to start. You're already likely an in-person trainer anyway, so you have the knowledge. Just start putting yourself out there as online. My first program, like I said, I don't know if it was an 8-week or a 12-week. I had 5 people sign up. So wasn't a lot, but it still got me started. And I was doing John's OTA 1 course in the background. So I didn't wait to have the course. I didn't wait. I just started. And it wasn't great and it was pretty crappy, but I still got 5 clients. And then those 5 clients ended up telling somebody else. And then the next time I had 8. And then the next time I had 10, yada, yada. So I would say don't wait. Rip the Band-Aid. I would also say, just because I've been saying this through the whole program, hire somebody, hire a coach, hire a mentor to teach you about business. Because I have all kinds of courses about, nutrition, workouts, mindset even, but they weren't teaching me how to actually build my business and to have business smarts, business sense, marketing, that kind of thing. I would say hire a mentor or a coach or do a course that's based on that. Don't just get all of your education based on what you want to help your clients with. Actually, get some education on growing your business. And I'm going to say, believe in yourself. Don't be scared to be uncomfortable. And that discomfort, from my personal experience, is what leads to your continued growth.
Wow. You package all up, 3 bullet points. Love it. So we're coming close to the end of time here, Melissa. The end of all time, or just your time on Gym World for now. Where do people go if they want to learn more about you?
You can find me on my small Instagram page at fitgirlsrock.melissa. You can find me on Facebook at my business page is Fit Girls Rock. Obviously, my personal page is Melissa Shevchenko. And my free community, if you're a woman looking to change your relationship with food or your mindset, is called Building Badasses. And I do have a website, but it's being revamped, so I'm not even gonna put it out there.
Boom. Followed you on Instagram. Like the page to do my part. Now you got 12,001 followers.
Perfect.
And wow, I just noticed you don't even, it's a Gmail. It's all running through a Gmail.
It is.
This is, wow. Teo's so jealous right now.
Yeah.
Teo's about to sell his gym and join John Goodman's program. Thank you so much for listening to this week's Gym World Worldwide. We appreciate you. And if you appreciate us, like, subscribe, leave a nice comment, and go follow Melissa. Tell her how much you enjoyed the show. Hit up her Gmail. And if you're looking to lose some weight, join our group. See what's going on.
And buy Kilo so I can join Melissa on the beach. For goodness sake, buy Kilo.
Thank you.
Hey, John again, real quick. I want to recommend another episode to you before you go. I hope that you enjoyed the conversation between Melissa and the Gym World podcast. Real quick, though, before I recommend another episode, if you're interested in my mentorship, you heard Melissa talk a little bit about it, please go on Instagram. I'm at It's Coach Goodman. Send me a DM that just says mentor, and we'll have a conversation about it. Now, in terms of another episode, I wanted to recommend one, episode 84. It's called You're Over Preparing. One of the main things that came up in Melissa's episode was kind of evolved over time, right? It wasn't that she had this magic formula. It was that she had a lot of good things. She put the pieces in place, but more than anything, she took imperfect action. And so in episode 84, you're going to learn my method for that, about how to launch a new service or business, about how to perhaps give new life to an existing service or business. So that's episode 84. It's called You're Over Preparing. Recommend you have a listen. Hope that you enjoy it, and I'll talk to you again soon.